Okay, thank you for tuning in to my channel. If you're new here, I go by the name Lawyer, and in my videos I like to do research on esoteric and exoteric information as well as knowledge on spiritual mysteries. And in this video we're going to be going into the wisdom of the pharaohs, specifically the prophecies of Hermes. Keep watching. Okay, thanks for tuning in. So most of you are familiar with the Bible, so to speak, and typically you'll have certain individuals who will promulgate that the book is the only one that actually deals with prophecies. So in this video, we're going to actually go into other texts that also deals with prophecies, because what you're able to do is once you hear what these words are saying, you're able to either determine if this is something that has taken place or is currently taking place or is on the way of actually being fulfilled. And that's how we can determine if a prophecy is actually legit or not. So we're going to be looking at the Hermetica. The one I'm going to be reading from is going to be the Wisdom of the Pharaohs. I'll leave a link to this resource in the underneath the like button. Now, where it comes from is there's 4 volumes of the Hermetica by Walter Scott, and this is actually an extraction from portions of what's written in volume 1. So I'll leave both resources for you so you can go on that path of attainment for yourself. And that's what's important. We want to go into these particular texts without emotion. We're just trying to piece the information together because everything is fragmented today. We've had individuals who've come along obviously with agendas. If you've seen my videos already, you know that I deal with those agendas and I break them down and tear them down so we can actually get the light that was actually meant for us. So I'm going to be reading this particular prophecy, and we're just going to have a short discussion about it when I'm finished, okay? All right, check this out. So this is what it says. So it says, pure philosophy is spiritual striving through constant contemplation to attain true knowledge of Atum, the one God. But speaking now in prophecy, I say that in times to come, no one will pursue philosophy with single-mindedness and purity of heart. Those with a grudging and ungenerous temperament will try and prevent men discovering the priceless gift of immortality. Philosophy will become confused, making it hard to comprehend. It will be corrupted by spurious speculation. It will be entangled with bewildering sciences like arithmetic, music, and geometry. The student of pure philosophy studies the sciences, not as a fanciful theories, but as devotion to Atum, because they reveal a universe perfectly ordered by the power of number. Because measuring the depths of the sea and forces of fire and magnitudes of physical things lead to a reverent awe at the Creator's skill and wisdom, because the mysteries of music bear witness to the unsurpassed talent of the supreme artist, who has beautifully harmonized all things into a single whole, suffused with sweet melodies. To simply love Atum in thought with singleness of heart, and to follow the goodness of his will. This is philosophy, unsullied by intrusive cravings for pointless opinions. But I foresee that in times to come, clever intellectuals will mislead the minds of men, turning them away from pure philosophy. It will be taught that our sacred devotion was ineffectual, and the heartfelt piety and assiduous service with which we Egyptians honor Atum was a waste without reward. Egypt is an image of the heavens, and the whole cosmos dwelled here. In this, its sanctuary, but the gods will desert the earth and return to heaven, abandoning this land that was once the home of spirituality. Egypt will be forsaken and desolate, bereft of the presence of the gods. It will be overrun by foreigners who will neglect our sacred ways. This holy land of temples and shrines will be filled with corpses and funerals. The sacred Nile will be swollen with blood, and her waters will rise utterly fouled with gore. Does this make you weep? There is worse to follow. This land that was a spiritual teacher to all humankind, which loved the gods with such devotion that they deigned to sojourn here on earth. This land will exceed all others in cruelty. The dead will far outnumber the living, and the survivors will be known as Egyptians by their language alone. For in their actions they will be like men of another race. O Egypt, nothing will remain of your religion but an empty tale, which even your own children will not believe. Nothing will be left to tell of your wisdom but old graven stones. Men will be weary of life and will cease seeing the universe as worthy of reverent wonder. Spirituality, the greatest of all blessings, will be threatened with extinction and believed a burden to be scorned. The world will no longer be loved as an incomparable work of Atum, a glorious monument to his primal goodness, an instrument of the divine will to evoke veneration and praise in the beholder. Egypt will be widowed. Every sacred voice will be silenced. Darkness will be preferred to light. No eyes will raise to heaven. The pure will be thought insane, and the impure will be honored as wise. The madman will be believed brave, and the wicked esteemed as good. Knowledge of the immortal soul will be laughed at and denied. No reverent words worthy of heaven will be heard or believed. So I, thrice great Hermes, the first of men to attain all knowledge, have inscribed the secrets of the gods in sacred symbols and holy hieroglyphs. On these stone tablets which I have concealed for a future world that may seek our sacred wisdom. Through all-seeing mind, I myself have been the witness of the invisible things of heaven, and through contemplation come to knowledge of the truth. This knowing I have set down in these writings. Of course, what I just read there was the prophecy of Hermes. Now, as we reflect on the words therein, there's a couple of things here that really stuck out to me. I mean, like a sore thumb. It says here in the prophecy, it says, the madman will be believed brave. So when we look out on the earth today, there's a group, there's these individuals, there's these people that are of another nation who are madmen, right? Because the lakes are dying, the rivers are dying, birds falling out of the sky, no clean air, spraying chemicals, in the atmosphere, GMO, genetically modified food. Do you get what I'm saying? See, in the days of old, I remember when we used to make clothes and we made particular garments that were natural fabric, like linen, silk, wool, cotton, and so forth. Now we have these madmen that are considered brave who have brought forth polyester. They have brought forth nylon. They have brought forth these artificial garments and fabrics that when they interact with us, because we are electrical beings, we're electric beings, right? So when these particular artificial fabrics interact with us, it blocks the frequency. It blocks us from being able to communicate with our ancestors or to receive divine downloads. See, when you have those who operate from a capitalistic style of way of doing things, then there is no honor when it comes to a connection with that which is divine, right? So it goes on and it says, and the wicked would be esteemed as good, right? So we have a particular, now we're not talking about Wicca, which means a wise one. We're talking about wicked in the sense of the definition in English, like wicked being someone who carries, a type of way of acting and pushes it on the rest of the civilization as it being some type of society, cultural type of thing, right? So it says the wicked would be esteemed as good. It says knowledge of the immortal soul will be laughed at and denied, because not everyone has a soul. When we're dealing with the Ba, the soul, the Ka, the spirit and so forth. So our ancient texts, our ancient knowledge, when it was discovered by these counterfeit spirits, and it was interpreted, when you don't have the soul, then you're unable to draw that connection in terms of what we were conveying in our messages. So then we have societies today who have took this information and then they have actually manipulated it, copied it, and formed it into a physical plane of existence when we had it set up on a different level, right? So then they, through secrecy and so forth, have created codes and symbols that have allowed some type of hierarchy, some type of degrees of levels that you can reach, but it's basically on a physical plane. So that's what it's saying here when it says knowledge of the immortal soul will be laughed at and denied. So there's a lot here in this prophecy that is very, very interesting. And like I said, I'm going to leave the resources so underneath the like button, so you can actually seek out this text and study it and read it 100 times, because only then will the true meaning be revealed. So I like to inform people that the lips of wisdom, are definitely sealed, right? Except to the ears of understanding. So it's important that you hear, and you have to hear what these words are saying, and only then will the true meaning be revealed. So I wanted to read that, and I wanted to share that prophecy with you to inform you that it's important that if you're in a group or if you're in some type of belief system, you might want to consider leaving that kind of stuff alone, because what it does is, if you're ever interested in seeking out additional information that might not be a part of the agenda of the group, then you end up being scorned at, and you end up being prevented from actually seeking out this information, because you got to deal with the agenda of the group. So the groups and the organizations and these belief systems, they actually end up keeping you stagnant, right? So you have to look at this thing like an operating system. So each group is like an operating system. So based upon the belief systems of that particular group, then you can predict the behavior of the individuals that are associated with that group. Because when you're associated with the group, you are tapped into an operating system. So now I control your destiny. So when we look at this text, we had a way of communicating with each other, and I remember this when I think on this, when I go within and I tap into my cosmic memory. We had a way of communicating with each other. Like, for example, we didn't have like TVs, like where someone else could tell us their vision and so forth. So we use arts and with creativity, whether through painting, whether through drawing, carvings and so forth. And we wanted to tell the story so we can keep that which is sacred therein, and we can pass on this information from generation to generation, and it won't be lost. So when you have someone else that comes in that don't quite understand the culture that we had, that we're bringing back, then they're going to interpret that as if we were worshiping individuals or so forth, not knowing that these were just principles and these were just parables and similitudes that we were setting up, that we knew we had the keys to it, and this is how we were sharing our information from generation to generation so the ancient knowledge wouldn't get lost. So we have to seek the old path, right? It's very important that we seek the old path. Now, this has nothing to do with the pigment of somebody's skin, right? What we're dealing with is some individuals who are a part of what I like to call the civilization of deception, right? So you have the civilization of deception, and then you have the counterfeit spirits, and then you have what's called the walk-ins, right? You have these walk-ins that basically inhabit a container, and then through that container they're able to bring forth the agendas, if you get what I'm saying. The all is mine, right? So if that makes sense to you, consider giving the video a like, dropping a comment if you have any questions on any of this information that I'm bringing forth. And it's important that we seek the old path, because you can't keep kicking the can down the road. You know, the old folks used to say, well, just keep going and everything will get better, you know, but you can't keep going down the same road expecting for everything to get better. You have to stop, and you have to turn around, and you have to analyze the steps that you have taken, right? Because if you don't know the steps that you've taken, how are you going to be able to know the next steps that you must take? And when someone has swept the information under the rug and placed it underneath the buildings and so forth, then it's very impossible for you to know your next step. So then you're just going this way and that way and attaching yourself to this idea and that idea in search of something that you do not know. So you have to stop, and you have to turn around, and you have to seek the old path, right? You have to seek the old path so you'll know the steps that you've taken and and pinpoint when you fail, so then you can actually know what step that you must take next. Okay? Like I said, I'll be bringing out more of this information in future videos, and I'm just getting started, as you can tell. And consider subscribing. Turn on the notification bell so you can be notified whenever I come out with more research, and it'll really help out the channel. And it's important that this way of thinking is being revealed. And it's not saying that what I'm doing is the right way. What it's actually saying is that it's important that you get another set of ideas, because the ideas that we have been given when we place the cake in the oven, desiring a cake, and it keeps coming out a pudding, because someone has given us a recipe to a cake, and every time that we put the cake in the oven, it doesn't yield what we desire. We desire a cake, however, it keeps coming out a pudding. So we have to analyze the ingredients that have been given to us, right? And that's what this is about. Like I said, subscribe if you're new here. If you have any questions on what I went over in this video, leave a comment in the section underneath the like button, and I'll have these sources in the description area for you so you can pick them up for yourself and continue on your path of attainment. All right? I'll see you in the next video. Take care.